Shalom. First, I want to give all praises, all the glory, the honor to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and elders of the great millstone that rule well, that taught us his truth. And blessings to the elected nation Israel who are scattered worldwide, who are predestined to be saved. This is Brother Yakau, coming with some a lesson in prophecy. I'll say prophecy, and Lord willing, you brothers and few sisters will be edified. Okay. If you've been living under a rock, you've seen that terrorists, and they are terrorists, have basically allowed, have taken over Syria. Bashar al-Assad, alright, the Syrian president, has fled his own country. Now, some people say that him and his family is in Moscow, because obviously the Russians had a military base there, and the Russians helped them with ISIS and all these other terrorist groups. Now, first of all, think logically. And I'm doing this video because, this is why the brotherhood is beautiful, because one of the brothers, fellow officer M1, he was like, listen, we were talking about this situation, and I remember my mom said, Bashar al-Assad's dad was, brutal. He was a brutal dictator, blah, blah, blah. And I remember when I said that to him, he said, yeah, but let's qualify that, because the West is going to tell you that these, people are brutal dictators and this, that, and the other, when they don't agree with the West. All right, and let me say this: what happened in Libya is happening here in this situation in Syria. It's exactly the same thing. All right. The West has propped up Al-Qaeda and given them a different name, ISIS, and given them a different name, and other terrorist groups to flood that country to do regime change. And we're going to go into that today. And one of the reasons why they wanted regime change, number one, is because this man was a supporter of the Palestinian people and the Palestinian cause. All right. And there's other reasons why. And I saw this article here, and there is only 4 countries in the world now, all right, that has a central bank that is not controlled by these Jewish people, all right, like the Rothschilds, these banking families, all right. Now, this article goes into that. In 2001, there were only 7 countries without the Rothschild-controlled central bank. All right. Now, a controlled central bank is what? The Rothschild-controlled central bank is what? Rather than you, as a country, printing your own money, oh, no, we'll print it for you. But we'll charge you interest on every single note that we print. And what does that leave a country in? Debt. That's why America is in how much debt? 28 trillion. The debt clock keeps rising. Yeah, because you have the Rothschild Bank. Rather than you printing your own notes, see, they will do it for you, but they'll charge interest on every single note. So it's a scam. All right, and all throughout the years, ever since banking came into play, that's what colonialism did. The colonialists not only went around the world and enslaved people, but they put in this banking system in the countries. That's why a lot of these African countries in the West Africa, still France prints their money for them, and the bank that does it is the Rothschild Bank. Okay, so there was 7 countries without the Rothschild Bank, and it was Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, Syria, Iran, Cuba, North Korea. And notice those countries. All right, 4 have been overthrown, and the other 3 are in the crosshairs. Exactly. Now Afghanistan's been overthrown, so they're done. All right, Iraq has been overthrown, they're done. Libya has been overthrown, they're done. All right, so the only countries that don't have this banking system is Syria, Iran, Cuba, and North Korea. All right, those 4 countries. Why do you think those 4 countries are demonized? All right, now Syria under Assad. All right, and you're gonna see things that people say, oh, he was a brutal dictator, this, that, and the other. In every country, you have people that support a president and like their policies, and you have people that do not support a president and don't like their policies. He had a lot of supporters, all right, and the West flooded terrorists because they couldn't do what they did in Iraq, say weapons of mass destruction and go in straight away, because everyone is wise to that lie. So they've formed ISIS and all these other groups, and unfortunately, I'm going to show you in this video that countries like Turkey, Israel, they've all been, the Gulf states, they've all been against Syria. All right, now Syria is has good relations with Hezbollah in Lebanon and Iran. All right, but now let's check this out. Syria's central bank is state-owned. All right, that's going to change now because he's gone. Syria has accumulated no IMF debt. They've not taken any IMF loans. That's a great achievement. All right. Syria has banned GMO seeds because it's bad for the people, unlike this country. All right. Syria has oil and gas reserves. All right. And Syria has dropped the US dollar. That made it an enemy for the West. So I don't want people to, because all you're going to see on the news is people that didn't like this guy. That people that said that he was a brutal dictator. Now, I'm not saying that under his tenure, brutal things did not happen. Some of those things might have happened, but what I know for sure is chemical weapons attacks did not happen when he was in power. That was the West and their different groups that they had. They basically went into a hospital and started to hose down kids in the waiting room and film it and say that these people were gassed. And you know what they did? They went to the OPCW, the chemical weapons people, and proved to them 100% that didn't happen. All right. And then when the people from the OPCW, went there and said, look, this did not happen. Their representatives went to Syria, checked it out, and they found out that no chemical weapons attack happened. You know what they did? They just sacked those people, brought in other people, and gave it to the Western media, and that was another what's the word? That was another way of demonizing them. So we're gonna get into it, man, because there's 2 sides to the story, and even on Al Jazeera, I'm watching Al Jazeera right now, they are not actually showing anything good about Bashar al-Assad. And Al Jazeera is based where? In Qatar. And the Qataris are some of the ones that have been funding these terrorist groups in Syria. So we're going to get into it, man. So let's get a scripture first, man, because this man is greedy. And the ones of you people that don't understand that this man is the devil that the Bible speaks about, all right, you're really in for a rude awakening in these last days, man. All right, this is Habakkuk chapter 2, and I'll start from verse 4. All right, behold, his soul, which is lifted up, all right, and his soul is lifted up. He's lifted up with pride. This white man. All right, his soul that is lifted up is not upright in him. And yeah, he's you know, like we did a lesson. We did a lesson recently, and we talked about spirits. You know, the elect being the first fruits, and your body is a spirit, is a house for your spirit. You know, this white man's spirit is so disgusting. It's so it's not like any other race of people. You know, he's a real actual scumbag. You know, his soul that is lifted up is not right in him, but the just shall live by faith, and that's the elect, man. All right, verse 5. Also, because he transgresseth by wine. And what is his wine? His philosophies, man. Like his bullshit democracy. Didn't he say he was going to bring democracy to Iraq? He did. Look at Iraq now. It's a mess. All right. Didn't he say he was going to bring democracy to Libya? Libya was a great country. Free gas, free free education, free university. You know, if you get married, £50,000 off your first house. You don't get that in any Western country. All right, but they destroyed it. They made up lies, and the same people, Al Qaeda, they used to bring down Libya. They brought down this guy. All right. All right. Because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. See, he's everywhere. He's in Syria. He's everywhere. All right. Who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death. And that's what he represents. He represents nothing but death. All right. Death or life, right? He represents death, man. Okay. That's all he represents. He represents nothing but death, man. All right, and cannot be satisfied. He's got every banking system, but he's not satisfied. He wants these 4 countries. So now, obviously, Syria, big swathes of it is destroyed. All right. So obviously, how are they going to rebuild the country? IMF loans. That's the trick. Okay, IMF loans. They're going to put their central bank in there. That country is going to be forever swimming in debt. It's finished. The people that are even celebrating, you know, Bashar al-Assad coming out of power, Syrians. One person on TV said that, oh, well, I'm going to go back there and see my family. That place is not going to be a normal, a thriving country. They're going to all these different groups, they're going to start bombing and fighting each other for power. It's going to be a failed state. All right? But gathereth unto him all nations. See? All nations, man. Did we not just give you this article? You know? I mean, why wouldn't you be satisfied with every country in the world? You've put your banking system in there. You've put them in debt. But you want these ones as well. You know, and they've got Afghanistan now. They've probably, they've got Afghanistan. They've got Iraq. You know, that's why America went in there. They've got Libya. You know, but no, they want Syria, Iran, Cuba, North Korea. You see, that's why North Korea is concentrating on nuclear weapons. All right, if Bashar al-Assad had nuclear weapons, this wouldn't have happened. You see? Same with Gaddafi. Gaddafi had nuclear weapons and gave them up. Okay? Alright? So, yea, because he transgressed by wine, he's a proud man. He neither keepeth what? He neither keeps at home. Alright? Alright? But gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. So he's a bitch, man. He's a greedy cunt. Alright? That's what he is. Now, I've got some things here. I want to show you, because the one thing about this guy, Bashar al-Assad, that they're not showing you is that many people in Syria actually like him and support him. Here's some clips from the past. All right, and this is when they tried to make up this chemical weapons bullshit.
Cruise missiles fired fire is to have been done with textbook precision. This chemical research center outside Damascus was on the receiving end of 76 of the 105 cruise missiles fired at Syria. But while the attack here was destructive in the extreme, it was not deadly. The early hours of a weekend morning ensured the targets were deserted. 0 casualties, particularly Russian ones, were a top priority. Soon after the dust had settled, these were the scenes in the Syrian capital. Given President Trump's midweek belligerence, supporters of President Assad were expecting a heavier and more widespread bombardment. The reality was a relief and an excuse to belittle Mr. Trump. After a week of threats, Trump turned out to be all talk, said this man. This will only strengthen our resolve. We've already been through much worse.
See? These are supporters of him.
This is President Assad as seen on state television today, exuding a casual air of normality. Last Saturday's gas attack won the Battle of Douma for him, and there have been celebrations in the district since. Mr. Assad gambled that having Russian soldiers like these as allies would ensure any Western punishment would be limited and short-lived. Now, he says, last night's airstrikes have made him more determined to crush his opponents in every inch of the country. That means these people, the ones he gassed and threw into exile, may soon find themselves in his crosshairs once more. President Assad.
See, that's what the white man's media does. That's a lie, man. The chemical weapons attack. That was already debunked, man. Alright? Debunked a long time ago. Now, let's look at more support for this guy. Oh, he's terrible. He's doing this and that to his people. Alright, let's see. Let's see what his people think of him. Look at that, he's being mobbed. Look at that, he's being mobbed by his own people, his supporters, man. And this was at the height of all the troubles. Alright. There you go, man. And it's good to show that, because the Bible says a false balance is an abomination to the Lord, and the so-called white man's media is only going to give you one narrative. Now, there was a documentary that I saw. It was on Al Jazeera, and it was from someone that was in the regime, you know, in his government, and basically it showed them being brutal, you know, doing brutal killings and so forth, when all this protests, because remember, this all started with the Arab Spring. But who did the Arab Spring? It was Israel, Mossad, and CIA, alright, to destabilize all these Arab countries because they wanted regime change, alright. And this guy, Bashar al-Assad, supports Lebanon, Iran, and he supports the Palestinian people. Alright? He used to funnel weapons, you know, to the resistance groups that were resisting Israel. And that's why Israel is every month was bombing Syria, in one part of Syria, you know, bombing them and so forth. Alright? So we have to give a narrative to that. Now, I'm not saying that his regime wasn't brutal, alright? But he had a lot of people that were what's the word, that liked him. Now, and his woman And he's an eye doctor, by the way. He was an eye doctor. He wasn't supposed to be really a president, you know. He went to London. He was an optometrist, you know, to do with eyes. So he was the kind of guy that, you know, I needed to see, because I need to go to the eye hospital. And his woman is here. So let's see what she's got to say.
Properties handpicked by
And this is quite interesting what she says here. All right.
It's been said about the humanitarian situation in Syria, but in truth, the severity of the situation is beyond comprehension. The displacement, the poverty, the sickness, the suffering is possibly unprecedented. Ironically, Western media organizations have chosen to solely focus on the plight of refugees and those caught up in rebel-held areas, whereas in fact the vast majority of people displaced are living across the rest of the country. And these people, as much as anybody else, matter. Why was the fate of the children in Zara not given the same media coverage as the tragedies of Aylan and Omran? The Western media decided to focus on these tragedies because it suited their media agenda. It's actually the West that is dividing our children in this conflict according to the political beliefs of their parents. Aylan was a Syrian child, irrespective of what his parents believed, as was Omran and the other innocent children in the Zara village massacre. These are all children. They are all innocent children. And they are all a loss to Syria, irrespective of...
There you go. So, as I said, in a country, you have people that have different political beliefs, all right? Different religious beliefs, all right? And then you have a president. As, for example, in England, here, if you come to England here, all right, there is a massive party now called Reform, which is about anti-immigrants and you know, they're basically a racist party, you know, and they got loads of supporters, man. All right, and Labour's come to power, all right, but Labour now in the first 5 months is so unpopular. So now people have opinion polls. People are saying that Reform is the only party that can sort Britain out. So you understand that when you see, you know, these pictures of people celebrating Bashar al-Assad being, you know, leaving the country and his family, all right, that's not everyone, okay? It's not everyone. Now, this video that I'm about to show you is the icing on the cake, all right? And it shows you that this man is a fucking devil, man. All right? All right? Let's get a scripture. Ecclesiastes, all right? Not Ecclesiasticus, Ecclesiastes in the Bible, 1:15. That which is crooked cannot be made straight. And that's the so-called white man. He's crooked. He cannot be made straight. He cannot tell the truth. All right? And that which is wanting cannot be numbered. See, he's crooked. All right? He's there to twist the narrative. This video that you're about to see is just a damning report on America, on Turkey, and other countries that have taken, and Israel, that has basically backed all these different terrorists to get this man out of power. And we know the reasons why. All right, they want him out of power. They wanted him out of power. All right, no debt. He wasn't feeding his people GMOs. All right, he's got gas and oil. And can you believe that America has a military base in Syria without their permission? Under Trump, Americans went in and got, I think it was on the eastern part of Syria. All right, and made a military. How can you be in a country and have a military base and steal their oil, you know, and sell it on the market without their permission. That shows you this man is a fucking devil. He's a crooked and he can't be made straight. Alright?
And Israel. After violent protests broke out, the war in Syria has gone on for more than a decade, and yet it continues to drag on. Yet this is not just a civil war, which it's often mistakenly referred to as.
Yep.
Rather, this is an international war that has been fueled by multiple foreign countries from the very beginning, especially the United States and Israel.
Look at this, man. Look at this. American flags and Israel flags. And I guarantee you there's pictures in Syria. Let's continue. Wow, man. This man is a devil.
After violent protests broke out in Syria in 2011, the CIA began flooding the country with weapons and spending around $1 billion every single year arming and training so-called rebels to try to overthrow the Syrian government. And many of these rebels were linked to Al-Qaeda and ISIS. The Washington Post reported that the CIA program at $1 billion per year accounted for 1 out of every $15 in the CIA's overall budget, aimed at trying to destabilize Syria. The New York Times reported that this covert CIA program, known as Operation Timber Sycamore, was one of the largest CIA operations since the CIA Operation Cyclone in the 1980s in Afghanistan, in which the U.S. spy agency armed and trained Islamist extremists to try to fight against the socialist government in Afghanistan, which was supported by the Soviet Union. That war in the 1980s, in which the CIA funded and armed the Mujahideen, gave birth to Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. So these covert CIA initiatives, Operation Cyclone in Afghanistan in the 1980s, and Operation Timber Sycamore in Syria in the 2010s, these were very similar operations in which the U.S. government spent billions of dollars arming and training extremist Islamist groups trying to violently overthrow an independent secular government allied with Russia. There are very clear historical parallels. But the war in Syria is still not over. In 2016, the Syrian government was able to retake the city of Aleppo, which is the second biggest city in the country. It had previously been held by extremist groups allied with Al-Qaeda, and many of those groups fled to the west, to the northwestern Idlib province. And since 2016, Idlib has been governed by rebranded Al-Qaeda.
Yeah.
The main so-called rebel group in the region is called Hayat Tahrir Asham, HTS, which is the rebranded Al-Qaeda affiliate in Syria. And in late November 2024, HTS, this rebranded Al-Qaeda group, led an armed attack on Aleppo, the second biggest city in Syria after the capital Damascus. And these extremist groups took over Aleppo. Now, if you don't know much about the war in Syria and you only read Western media outlets, you'd probably be quite confused, because Western media outlets refer to this group that took over Syria as rebels. They don't actually explain what HTS is. However, ironically, this armed group that is being cheered on in the Western media as rebels seeking freedom in Syria, this group, HTS, is officially recognized by the U.S. government as a terrorist organization.
See? And it's a terrorist organization that the Americans and the Israelis have been arming. See, that shows you that this man is a fucking devil, man. Alright? And the word devil means deceiver. Alright? Remember what the word devil means. Wow, man. Wow. You know? Alright. Alright, look. Devil, right? Alright, let's click on it. Now, this is in the New Testament. Let's click on it. Let's see, devil. All right. And it would be Diablos.
Strong's G1228. Diabolos.
All right.
Diabolos.
So, and that's the word devil. What does the word devil mean? It means prone to slander, slanderous, accusing falsely. And that's what they've been doing. That's what they've been doing to this guy. All right. That's what they've been doing. Oh, these are freedom fighters. Oh, these are rebels. Oh, one news person yesterday said, no, a couple of days ago, this bitch on the news, she said that a lot of the people that are fighting in Syria are born and raised there, and they took up arms against a brutal dictator. The majority of them fighters are not from Syria, man. They're outside, man. They're Al Qaeda, and now they've rebranded themselves. So instead of calling themselves Al Qaeda, they call themselves Hayat Tarah al-Sham, HTS, and they've got prisons and they torture people. A stupid black Muslim, a dumb nigger Muslim, a stupid beard wielding dummy black bastard went over there, all right, as a journalist, a New York journalist, but because he's Muslim, he went over there and he interviewed this HTS in Syria, and after he interviewed them, they kidnapped him, he said, and they took him to prison. And I guarantee you they did it more because he's a black man, all right?